Here I am at Hamline University in St. Paul, Minnesota. I used to live in a single dorm room up there in Schilling Hall. And I'm going to interview one of the most influential educators that I've ever had. One of the several, Sharon Preves, Sociology Professor. I'm so excited to see her.
See that I
so choose something that you're really interested in. We're going to be spending some workshop days starting this Friday, and I have to tell you, I'm having such a blast reading these. And I was looking at your discussion board posts. There were so many that were so good and that made me so proud of your sociological minds at work.
Hello.
What's that, Sharon?
What's the best part of my job? What's the best part of teaching? Mm-hmm. It's this. It's them. They're amazing.
Are there any patterns? Are you seeing things where you have overlap? Please. I see Lainey going, Hey, what are you interested in?
Well, I was interested in school violence prevention and also some food topic stuff, and then we had some food overlap.
Okay. Well, that is not the best one. I think I had it.
The topic or the marker?
Yeah, I don't know. We're not going to do that topic. Violence and specifically prevention. And isn't the language fascinating, right? Thinking about deviance, right? And put that push towards normalization. Lori?
I want to study kind of why is it that people of color tend to be treated more inadequately or unequally in regard to pain management in the healthcare system or in the ER.
So racism, and correct me if I'm wrong in terms of the words I'm putting in your mouth. Racism in
the healthcare system, in regards especially to pain management and pain treatment.
Pain management, and there you.
So I kind of wanted to do representation within faculties at schools, specifically looking at race and what that does for.
Or lack
thereof.
Yeah, I mean how that impacts college students.
Yeah, how that impacts students and what kind of conversations come from that and what conversations are missing from that.
Natalie's your hand up?
I was thinking of two of them, the effects of toxic masculinity on cognitive and behavioral development in youth.
And in any youth?
Any youth.
Okay.
Going to Chipotle to pick up meals for Sharon and I at Rosedale Mall. Gonna do an interview. I'm stoked. I wonder how many of the 17 students that Sharon just had in her sociological practices class will be craving Chipotle. We flying. We'll be craving Chipotle, and we'll come today or sometime this week after I talked about the Educator Chipotle Challenge in their class. P.S. Thank you for listening and for being so attentive and curious and enthusiastic about what I'm doing with the Educator Chipotle Challenge. And I know that it can feel stressful and daunting to try to imagine what you're going to do for the rest of your life, in a sense, but it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to mean you're in a certain career for the rest of your life. It can if you want it to be, but you can make it what you want it to be. Take it one step, 1 year at a time. And Use your resources. Ask questions. Hamline University in St. Paul, Minnesota. 2010 grad. I'm about to record Sharon Preves' Educator Shout Out Interview, and it's a little bit windy here in Minnesota, but it's nice out. I just have this Hamline jacket on. I had my winter coat on, but it's like 60 degrees. Let's roll. Got our bowls in hand. It's day 211, March 27th, 2019. So sometimes I shake my bowls before I open it.
Oh, you're the expert. Oh my gosh, you really shake.
Yeah, mix it up.
Day 211.
Day 211.
Do you want to know something?
Yes.
February 11th, 211. 211, the date, is my sobriety anniversary. So
Really?
it's a really, really, really special number to me, 211. Oh God, I shook and I don't have it. Perfect.
Corn down.
Corn down, corn down.
That's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, no, I think I'm gonna avoid the shake because I spilled the corn, spilled the beans. Yeah, so 211. It's a good day.
Congrats.
Thank
And
you.
we're on.
34 years.
Oh my gosh.
16 years
34
old.
Wow.
Mhm.
So today is 211 of the Educator Chipotle Challenge, which is also on March 27th, so 2019. So February 11th has passed
Come and gone.
and marked 34 years of sobriety.
Mm-hmm.
Do you, are you okay with sharing like from what exactly, or does that?
Yeah, sure.
Am I naive
No, I'm good.
to ask that question? Because it
No.
could be any type of substance, right?
Yeah. Mostly alcohol and marijuana, although there were some other things that kind of, made their way in occasionally, but that was mostly what was happening. And I'm just thinking about the questions, and I didn't even think I was going to graduate from high school with what was happening in my world.
Yeah.
In my life. I was so checked out because of my use of these chemicals, and I was doing that because of some really hard stuff that had happened at home, and that was just kind of how I coped. And I think that I really didn't even know. So it was 10th grade when I went to treatment. And was, very suicidal, but didn't know that I would live to graduate from high school, and college was not even an option. Like I just
Wasn't even on your radar, or
No.
or wasn't?
No, I'm fine with that.
Sharon Preves keeps it real.
Keeping it real. Well, isn't that what it says there? Permanently?
Yep.
Yeah. Whose writing is that?
My dad's.
Oh. Is that his saying?
Yeah, we used to say it to each other. Yeah.
I like that.
Thanks.
Is your dad still alive?
No, he passed away April 12th, 2017.
I don't think I knew that.
Yeah, from Lewy body dementia and pneumonia.
Oh.
And he had very mistreated, or he neglected to treat his diabetes, and
Yeah.
so just a combination of different things.
I'm sorry.
Thanks.
Yeah. I love that you have his writing on you.
Me too. It feels great to
Look at that.
have this memory
Mm-hmm.
and try to live with that message, or live that kind of way
Mhm.
on a
Absolutely.
daily basis.
Well, so I went to treatment and got sober, and I left high school, so it was 10th grade in February, and didn't come back until September of my 11th grade year. So it was long, and I had to do summer school because I was missing all kinds of credits and stuff. But then what happened was I think it was my senior year. So I was not doing well in school at all. I just, didn't really care about school. And my senior year, I got on the B honor roll, and I was so proud. I mean, I was really working, and I was so proud. And came from a family who had higher education and like graduate degrees. And so the expectation growing up was always that I would go to college or something.
Mm-hmm.
But once I was able to kind of think more clearly and apply myself, I decided, hey, I do want to go to college. And I was really unrealistic. I don't know why I wanted to go to McAllister, but I didn't know anybody who went to McAllister. I don't know what it was, but I just had a very uninformed, young ideal that was where I was going to go to school. So, and I don't know how this happened, but I think I just applied to that school. And most people don't get into McAllister, certainly not if you are on the B honor roll. And so I got rejected. And I was crushed. I was absolutely crushed. No, I applied there and Connecticut College. And I don't know anything about Connecticut College. I think I saw some brochure for it or something with my school counselor. My school counselor did things he probably shouldn't have done. He gave me some credits I hadn't earned to get me to graduate on time. Is that something people do? You don't want this on record?
No, I'm not at the high school level, so I couldn't even fully speak to that. But I would be willing to bet that there are people that do that because, we work within a system, and in like technical terms that would be considered unethical or unprofessional. But also as an educator, it sounds like that educator like really believed in you and really saw more potential in you than what the
showed.
Records or the transcript showed, and I don't think that an educator would essentially put their career at risk if they didn't believe that.
Right.
I'm sure it still happens.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I would, like I said, I work at the junior high level, but if I had a student that I saw great potential who really showed through their actions that they were dedicated and determined to reach a goal, but the system either was not adequate in preparing them, or they came up against some challenges that were really deterring them from reaching some of those goals. Like I would probably fudge some stuff too, because that's not like the grade on your transcripts are not the be all end all. And
right.
I think I just care about people being able to be their best and have opportunities, and I suppose second and third, sometimes fourth chances, and
I'm so grateful he did it. I mean, in some ways I've thought, so it was math, and I think it was was it geography? Did students take geography in high school, or was that younger? Well, I just know that as an adult, I have had holes in my education. I had to really overcome some things about not having those pieces,
Mm.
and felt like there were times, of course at the time I was really grateful, but there were times when I felt that it would have been helpful to have been forced to do that rather than, basically, I mean, another way to say it is I felt dumb. Like, oh, I'm in a PhD program, or I have my PhD, and there are some basic skills I'm missing. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
which I think, I think we all kind of suffer from the imposter syndrome in different ways. Like, am I really qualified to be this, that, or the other? But, so I applied, I got rejected from those two schools, and then I thought, oh, yeah, maybe college isn't for me. But then I decided to just apply to a lot of schools. And I applied, I can't really remember all the schools I applied to, lots and lots of Minnesota schools, including the University of Minnesota. Got rejected from everywhere. Because my transcript, like the record, showed that I was kind of a mess until the end of high school. And in junior high, I spent some time going to children's theater school, and we didn't even have transcripts. Like, we had conversations with our faculty. Like, it was just very untraditional, And so it was I was just so disillusioned and, feeling horrible, and I'm never going to get in anywhere. What am I going to do now? And because I'd had my mind set on that goal, and a friend's mom, I'll never forget this, sitting in her kitchen, one of my best friends from high school, her mom said, have you applied to Hamline University? And I said, what's that? I had never heard of it. She was like, oh, it's a wonderful school. They have a great education program. They do fantastic things. And so I applied, and admissions called and said that they were willing to interview me but that, if I were to be admitted, it would be on some sort of probationary status.
Sure.
Because they weren't quite sure if I would be able to succeed. And so I was admitted on probation, and then got on the dean's list my first semester, and was on the dean's list all the way through.
Wow.
And by the end decided to go on to graduate school. So, but I didn't think I was smart, and that's something that I've struggled with kind of over the years, but I didn't think I was smart until there was Martin Markowitz, one of sociology faculty. He was like, hey, you're smart. I was like, I am. Yeah, so that like an educator making an impact, that was huge. I mean, so many different educators along the lines, but that was huge, because that I just really made an impression on me, because I had not thought of myself that way at all. And I thought he was really smart.
Say that again?
It wasn't on.
No.
So, Martin Markowitz was my undergraduate advisor at Hamline, and then when I got my first pet, and this is when I was in graduate school in San Francisco at the Palo Alto Humane Society. I got my first cat and named her Martin Markowitz Jr. And she was Marty for short.
That's so awesome.
He thought it was really weird. He was like, that's kind of creepy. But my mom was a teacher. She was a violist and had taught private lessons. She was originally a high school band conductor, but then became a classical musician. And but I grew up with students coming to the house, on a weekly basis, and having private lessons with her. And so I saw her teaching, and that was her form of teaching, and she got awards for teaching, and I thought that was really cool. And one of her students named her horse after my mom. My mom's name was Alice, and so her horse was named Alice.
Nice. So
And
it's
so
just
it was like a tradition.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, everybody's different, has different opinions, but I
Mhm.
think that's For me, that would be an honor.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine that.
I think Ebby
Sure.
would be a really good name for a pet.
Mm.
Don't you think?
Hey, Abby.
Don't
Abby.
you think?
That's kind of cool. I've never thought about that.
Mm-hmm.
More so than Kayla. That's too much of a human name, I
Mm-hmm.
think.
Yeah.
Abby.
I think Ebby would be really cute.
That would be cute. Who's gonna do it? Who's gonna name their pet after me? Or their car, or their something.
Mm-hmm.
I was walking downtown Stillwater yesterday, and I saw these yachts, and you know, I think it's
Oh.
probably a tradition in the yacht community, or
To name your
to
yacht?
name your yacht. I'm not sure how that would flow.
I think
What else you would
Halo
say?
would be more of a yacht name.
Yeah, probably.
Because I think ships are often feminized,
Mhm.
aren't they? Like referring to a boat as a she. Like nations are she.
Hmm.
Isn't that strange?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. Well,
wonder
Siri
what that-
doesn't
what that
pronounce
means.
your name well.
No. Kala? Kala?
Kala
Kala
Eb.
Kala Ebb.
Mm-hmm.
Kala Ebb.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Kayla Ebby here with the Educator Chipotle Challenge on day 211. And today is March 27th, 2019. And I am so excited to be doing an Educator Shout Out interview with one of my most influential educators. And I will be shouting out to you more specifically towards the end of the challenge, but I just have to reiterate what I said in class, that you are part of why I'm here right now doing this with you, and you know, part of how I've thrived in the world outside of your office. So, who are you, amazing woman?
I
is
am
your name?
crying.
Ah.
That's who I am. I'm grateful. My name is Sharon Preves. I am a sociology professor at Hamline University. I had the incredible fortune of working with Kayla as an undergraduate college student here in many classes, and we spent lots of time in my office and in classrooms and outside of my office, and since graduation going out to the good earth. You were over at my house one time when I was putting my makeup on.
I remember that. I
When you
remember
came
that.
to pick me up for something.
Yeah.
So we've crossed the boundary.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we were friends.
Yes,
Yeah.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
I
which
agree
is
with
really,
that.
really nice. And just super honored to have you here and visiting my classes and to be a part of this tremendous shout out and give back that you're doing in honor of educators that have influenced you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh, years of service.
Oh yes.
I have been at Hamline for 18 years. Before Hamline, I was a professor at Grand Valley State University in Grand Rapids, Michigan, sociology, for 2 years. And I am a Hamline alum. So in terms of thinking like shout out, I teach at my alma mater, which is
That's-
wild.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool. You're also an author too, right?
I am.
Can I pull this out?
Yeah. That's one of my books.
One of the books. Do you have another one that I'm not seeing?
Where is it? Let's see, do I have it? A copy of it. It should be right there. I think I loaned it out to someone. Look at me.
Wow.
I don't think I have a copy of my other book here. And this one was published in 2003 and is currently being reworked for a second edition.
Woo!
Yeah.
Look at that. Well, thank you so much, Sharon, for being part of this Educator Chipotle Challenge and for being part of my life and all the things. All the things. So, Sharon, who or what inspired you to become an educator?
Educators I grew up with my mom as a teacher, as a music teacher, teaching private lessons, viola and violin in our house. So I saw her teaching and saw the influence she was having on students and saw how much teaching meant to her. And it was really so there were two people that really influenced me that I'm thinking about. One was a school counselor, or John Brown, at Edina High School, who was like a cheerleader. I was someone who had some real challenges, and he was someone who was like this steady, I believe in you, you can do it. So he was like a touchstone for me.
Mm-hmm.
So I would go and just kind of be in his space just for grounding.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure you get that a lot with some of your kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was like 11th and 12th grade primarily. And then, I was mentioning I didn't even know I was going to get into college, and had a lot of self-doubt. And my freshman year of college, I took an intro sociology class with Markowitz, who became my advisor and a mentor and a friend. And he told me I was smart. And I was like, what? Me? And there was something, it felt really sincere, and it wasn't gratuitous. He really meant it. And then he would push me in class. Like, he followed it up. That was the first class, and I kept taking classes with him because I liked being challenged. At first I didn't, though. I mean, I remember he gave me like a C, or I think it was a C- on a paper. I was like, how dare you? You said I was smart. Like, what are you doing? And he's like, exactly. I said you were smart, and you can do way better than this. So if you want to redo it, you can, but this is crap. Like, you're way better than this.
Wow.
And so he kept raising the bar, and I rose to the challenge. And there was something that I remember in one of his classes. It was a beautiful Minnesota spring day, and he took the class outside, and we sat in a circle on the lawn, and we were reading a novel, and discussing it. And I was like, wait, this is a job? And he was wearing a sweatshirt and jeans. And I was like, you can do that? Like, that's a thing? You could get paid to hang out with people and talk about ideas outside in whatever you want to wear, and you can take your work anywhere. Like, that was just the coolest thing to me, that was really a job. And I had seen my mom, who was a classical musician, a very successful one, be able to live her dream. And I was like, wow, I think I might want to do that. And so that was when I first thought about becoming a professor. And that's kind of what I do. I kind of feel like a kid in a candy shop, that I get to, I mean, not all aspects of my job are super great, but what I consider the heart of my job, which is working with students and playing with ideas and seeing them kind of light up. It was starting to happen in class this morning. Like, ooh, I want to study this, and oh, I want to do that.
Right.
And helping them, giving them some tools and empowering them to be able to explore what they're interested in, and kind of realize their own power in that.
Yeah.
That is just, I get paid to do that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That segues into our next question, which is, what are the most rewarding parts about being an educator?
That's totally the students. They are, and they come from different places, and that can sometimes be a challenge in terms of, where do you pitch it? People are differently prepared. But something that I love in particular about Hamline students is the earnestness. Like, they are really genuinely curious, and there's no competition about like who's going to be the smartest or who's going to sound really great or whatever. So the classroom isn't the classroom is a pretty relaxed space where people will ask whatever. And they'll pose the question that some people might think that it would be a stupid question or an uninformed question. They'll just ask things, and they're willing to go there and get going with conversations. So I think that the best part is working with students and seeing their growth from wherever they start. Is really tremendous, and that can happen within a given semester, with one student, or all the students, or that can happen over the course of their career as an undergrad, and then being able to stay in touch with people like you, like just seeing what people then do
Right.
is pretty phenomenal. And that doesn't happen with every student,
Right.
of course, but doing that. And I recently became the co-director of the undergraduate collaborative research programs at Hamline, and which is the part that I direct is a summer research grants program that funds students to be able to do research for 10 weeks and work collaboratively with a faculty member on that.
Wow.
And so I get to, and I've for years and years and years, including with Kale, have worked as a faculty collaborator with students on their research in the summer, but now I get to be kind of directing this program, and we usually fund about 24 students and faculty to do this work over the summer, and students get housing on campus, and they get to like workshop what they're interested in for 10 weeks, and to see that is just super exciting.
Wow. From
Yeah.
start to finish.
From start to finish.
Overseeing that.
And they oftentimes launch into doing a year-long departmental honors project after that. And then in the spring, we get to travel with the students to go to the National Conference on Undergraduate Research, where they get to present their work to colleagues, thousands of people from around the country.
Wow.
And so that is a huge growth experience.
I bet.
Yeah.
And
And
what a
that program's not for everyone, but we're really trying to get more younger students involved, like first-year students, lots of first-generation college students. We're really trying to open up who has access to that funding and that experience.
That's awesome. What
Yeah.
a great opportunity.
Yeah.
I wonder in even 5 years what that program's gonna look like. We shall see, folks.
We shall
We
see.
shall see. So on the flip side of that coin,
Yeah.
what are the most challenging parts about being an educator?
I would say bureaucracy. So there are all kinds of rules and regulations and systems that make any person's job more challenging than it needs to be. And for here we have some things happening, whether it's with IT or budget stuff, or jumping through hoops about one thing or another. It's like, wait a minute, what is the mission of what we're doing? I feel like it makes us lose sight of what we're doing, and so sometimes like the cart is driving the horse. It's like, wait a minute, no, we're not. Like we need to keep the focus on the students and the focus on being able to do our job, which is kind of working with them at the heart, and sometimes that gets lost from that bureaucracy. The other most challenging thing is challenges that students experience. And I've really seen that change over the years. We're seeing more and more students, and I think that this is just happening more and more, whatever, if a
any
person's,
level.
whether they're in school or not,
Right.
with adults as well, just real mental health challenges,
Yeah.
and how that can really be an impediment to being able to show up, for anyone. And so there are lots of students who start strong and then kind of fall away a little bit, and kind of fits and starts about whether they're able to be here and to and sometimes it's financial challenges as well, and those can really compound one another. Yeah, I would say those are the biggest challenges, and sometimes I'm sure this happens with you too, my heart gets just hurt.
Definitely.
Not by students doing things to me,
Yeah.
but just watching some of the struggles they go through and you know, trying to help resource them as well as I can.
Right.
But I find myself reminding myself, like, can't do it for someone else,
Right.
which is hard.
Agreed.
So there's a lot of letting go that has to happen.
Absolutely.
And that's true in life in general.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear your perspective at the college level, and that it's different yet quite similar in that regard. I mean, the bureaucracy, I see that at elementary, middle, and high school level, and the mental health piece being one of the challenges that people at any age are dealing with. But from your perspective, have the mental health challenges increased, or has our awareness and communication and openness about them increased, or is it a bit of both or something else?
Yeah, I don't know. It's a really great question. My sense is it would be a bit of both. You know, we're able to talk about so many things that we haven't been, you know, sort of socially as a society. And mental health is certainly one of them. I mean, there's much less stigma, even though there's still lots of stigma, but students are really open, just saying, like, yeah, you know, I have, whether it's depression or anxiety, lots of people, you know, talking about trauma, PTSD, even people who are willing to be forthcoming about having, you know, borderline personality disorder, or being bipolar, or being schizophrenic. So, and lots of people talking about meds. I know that our Disability Resources Office used to primarily deal with people who had learning disabilities, or maybe some kind of physical challenges, you know, being hard of hearing or blind, or mobility issues, and how that might impact their learning. Now their primary student base is students who have mental health issues and having accommodations related to mental health stuff. So lots of people having panic attacks or things like that, where they'll have to leave the classroom or not come to class, and how that might affect attendance and grades and assignments and things.
Wow.
So again, I don't know if it's how much of it is how much that has increased in society, just given the anxiety that we're living with, you know, how social media has changed this, how the presence of, you know, being at war for all of these years, having guns everywhere. I mean, there's so many things that could impact that could make that increase.
Right.
And at the same time, there's a willingness to talk about it more. So I think it's a bit of both.
Yeah.
But I don't know for sure. Yeah.
It's
All I
okay.
know is it's hard.
Yeah. It has been.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that we're talking about it more, so people, that people have resources, although I think the resources are, I think there's more need or more demand for the resources than what we have available.
Stretched
But-
so thin.
Yeah, but that's awesome that that department is now, it like has evolved in its services.
Yeah. Yeah.
So then is that like intertwined with the just the counseling services or the mental health resources on campus? Like,
I think they work
different?
together a lot, but they're different offices. So there's counseling and health services, and they have both a medical side, you know, with RNs, and there's an MD who consults, and also there's also a psychiatrist, also an MD, and then there's the counseling side where we have counseling psychologists here who meet with lots and lots of students, sometimes on a regular ongoing appointment basis, sometimes emergency walk-in kind of thing, and then disability resources is actually across campus in a different space, and they the main thing they do is help provide accommodations for students, and they might do some administering of testing, like if a student has separate testing accommodation. So it's kind of like the IEP office.
Yeah, the academic kind of resources
Exactly.
for the mental
Yes.
health, and then the
Exactly.
like, therapy is like
That's
separate
exactly it.
kind of. Okay,
Yep.
that's great. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
but and thinking about challenges, I know that some of my colleagues have talked about this a lot, that one of the challenges is that our jobs as professors, and it's kind of stretching into the mental health counseling stuff. It's like, wow, I'm not trained, I'm not prepared, and yet there are lots of times where we're kind of thrust into that. You know, like if a student is having a panic attack in a class, or if like sort of like, wow, that's not my training. And some people are more intuitively kind of able to deal with that, and other people are like, wow, I have no idea what to do in this situation. So I think being able to know who to refer to and who to reach out to is really important and helpful, and knowing your own limits, and setting a boundary, like, okay, how can I help you academically? You know, with, you know, obviously being warm and approachable, and, you know, sometimes walking people over to different offices or calling them with them.
Right.
Yeah.
Thank you for doing that.
Yeah, it's really important. I had people do that for me, you know, which is, it's kind of like I do what was modeled for me, that was helpful to me.
That's a full circle impact right there. Example. Woo! So Sharon, what advice would you share with an aspiring educator or students or anybody watching this video? Somebody's wanting to become an educator, and maybe there's different barriers or thoughts that they have about being an educator that are, you know, or I mean, it's really open-ended.
Yeah, I would say talk to other educators. Talk to people who do what you think you want to do, and ask them what it's like, and ask them if you can hang out with them maybe and shadow them even. Like, what's a day in the life of being a professor like? And to follow that dream, to, even if you're scared, even if you're not sure you're capable or that it's the right fit, to check it out, because I think that is really, really important. So connect with people and do it when you're scared.
Lean into that discomfort.
Yeah, just like I had you
felt
do
it.
this morning.
I felt that this morning when I was like at the table in front of her. It was only 17 students.
But it was so
like,
formal looking, and that
it was
chair
a
is
little bit.
never there. It just looked
Oh, really?
ridiculous.
Yeah,
I didn't
well.
put it there, but I was like, oh, this is perfect.
Yeah, right?
Welcome, teacher.
Right. Yeah. Well.
Well,
Yeah, but it felt
not
good. It felt
only
good.
not only did she lean in, she was flossing in front of the class. Yeah, I mean, moved away from the desk and started doing some flossing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that worked out.
Yeah. I got my sea legs under me eventually. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for inviting me to your class to share my experience from Hamline with your students. I would love to do that again, and for sharing your just experience both as we were eating and in the interview here about your journey and your path to becoming an educator, and just shouting out to John Brown and Martin Markowitz, and your mom, Alice.
Alice.
Right? Who have had an influence on you and your path to becoming an educator. And I can only imagine, based on my own experience of you being my educator. And like, I remember sitting in here and talking to you about, oh my gosh, I really am excited about this McVeigh Youth Partnership, working with young people.
Totally
and like,
remember.
Yeah, you know,
right here.
My,
in this space.
Yeah, my internship was interviewing young people and just like being able to talk with them about their story and about, you know, one thing that I wish that I had said in the morning class was asking questions. Like, I think being in the field of sociology and studying sociology, it helped me ask the right questions, or like ask very pertinent questions to get a really precise kind of understanding of something, or you know, whether it's positive or perceivably negative and needs solving, or, you know, experience or whatnot. But yeah. So
Being curious.
Yep. So, Sharon Preves, Kayla Ebby, Educator Chipotle Challenge, Educator Shout Out Interview, Day 211, over and out. Woo! Thank you so much. I love you.
I love you too.
Now we're going to go to another class.
Yay, class!
Woohoo!
And I love that I'm wearing maroon. I didn't even notice this. Like, we're Hamline colors.
Yes.
Yeah,
Woohoo.
that's great.
Go HU! What are we doing, Sharon?
We're going to class.
We're going to class!
Research method.
Research methods, Hamline University!
Just right across, brick building. It's windy, but it's nice. So nice.
Yep.
Do you have a favorite spot on campus? Or favorite building? Like a place that where you like sat in this desk, or you stepped in this building, you would just go,
I think I remember one of the classrooms upstairs in the library
yeah.
that we had class in.
Yeah, that was probably
would
sexuality.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. What is it? Klaus Center?
That's where we had gender.
Yep, that was a good one.
I'll never forgive you and Kale in that class.
What are you talking about, Sharon?
Male contraception, a quest. What is that? I want to go to that.
Oh.
You were just so funny. You were so excited and excitable.
Thanks.
We're going down.
Going down.
Down to the basement.
Down.
To the computer lab.
It was just so excitable.
So, yeah, totally excitable.
Yeah, that hasn't really changed.
Excited about learning. It has not changed. So, like, this is
What is SPSS anymore? What does that mean?
statistical package for the social sciences.
Yeah.
We are into the data. This is the general social survey. Do you remember?
No.
Yeah, you don't need to. All these variables. Prestige.
I bet you make it super interesting, Preves.
Oh, how many questions?
I want to say we had like 21.
Okay, so really similar.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just want to take a nap in between classes. That will be fun. Good old Hamline University. Met with college career counselor to help me realize that I wanted to become a school counselor on this campus. Look at me now. I'm making a difference. Hamline University has a super special place in my heart. So does Sharon Preves. Until next time, Hamline University, You keep it real. Go away, Chew. Bye, Bars. Kayla, Abby, over and